Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Thursday morning, and if you're really smart, you'll see a piano behind me. I'm not in Florida anymore. Who was it who said that? Dorothy. I'm not in Kansas anymore. Um, anyway, good morning, everybody. First, before we begin, I'd like to say good morning to Bray Eagle, who is standing to my right side. I was wondering when I would get to do that, and I also can see my Daddy's standing waiting. There's a special reason I was wondering because I haven't seen him this morning, and I expect to see him this morning because today is a special day. But anyway, Chris, is there anybody there? Are people still logging on? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, there's a few people logged on. Gary's on, Rhonda, Gina, Judith. They're all saying good morning and hello.
Good, good. Is that Gina, my lovely neighbour, Gina? I think it
No,
might
this
be.
Gina's from this one's from Cape Town.
Then it isn't my lovely Gina, my neighbour. Oh well, I bet Gina, you're still lovely wherever you're from, Cape Town. Gosh, it's so long since I was in Cape Town. I went a few years ago when I think it was when Nelson Mandela had just been released or thereabouts, anyway. And he came to talk to the group that I was with. How about that for memory? Wow, that's so many years ago. Anyway, so yes, I remember going to, there's a great zoo in Cape Town. I remember going to the zoo and seeing all the lions roaming around and all the wildlife roaming around. It was not the kind of zoo where all the animals were in cages. It was more like, I guess it wasn't even a zoo, was it? I'll guess it was a safari park that I went to. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, so okay, so today is, I'm wearing green, everyone. I know it's not St. Patrick's Day yet, but I am doing doing my thing. I'm wearing green for St. Patrick's Day because St. Patrick's Day is in, what is it, 13, 14, 15, 17, 4 days' time. St. Patrick's Day is in 4 days' time, and today is the 13th. Very special day today, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Do we have any comments or questions yet, Chris, or are we a bit early still?
Now, more comments. Judith says, you are wearing my favorite earrings.
Oh, good.
Andrea's saying good morning from Colorado. Mark is on saying good morning. And Penny says, I loved your Sunday show. I plan to try rosemary stew this weekend.
Yay, good. Well, good. Well, while we're on the subject of cooking, if you didn't watch the cooking show on last Sunday morning, you can find it on YouTube. I don't know quite where I'm looking on this camera, Chris, but anyway, I'm probably all over the place. But you can find the show on YouTube. It St. Patrick's Day inspired me to make a stew, and I do tell people how to make an Irish stew, but I actually did not make an Irish stew. I made two lots. One that I could show you the finished dish, but the one that I was making on Sunday, Chris took home with her. And so, Chris, I think you were going to have potatoes and carrots and stuff. I gave you some carrots to add. So did you do that? Did you eat it yet? What's going on?
We made up some mashed potatoes and some
Oh,
carrots, and we used that as the nice base to put the stew on. Oh, it was so good.
yeah, yeah. I love mashed potatoes. This is why I don't make a true Irish stew. But my mother, I don't think she'd call it an Irish stew. My mother used to, all through the winter time, she would have the pressure cooking go. Shall I do that? The pressure cooker going. That was a hard one to say. But this was a huge thing, and it would just spit out steam, and if you weren't careful, you got burned and so on. Now they have this amazing thing called Instapot. I don't usually advertise for people, but if I find something that's really great, uh, Instapot is sort of like the modern day version of the old fashioned pressure cooker. And whereas I did my stew, I made my stew in a slow cooker. Or, as I said, on Sunday you can make it in the oven. If you do it in the Instapot, my Instapot, I have a small Instapot, I don't have a large Instapot, but my Instapot um, was too small to make it in. But if you do it in the Instapot, whereas it might take 6 hours for you to cook it in a slow cooker, in an Instapot it can take literally, I don't know, I've never done a big stew in there, but at least a quarter of the time, if not less than a quarter of the time, because it is the modern day version of the old uh, pressure cooker. So it sort of has all that steam in there and cooks the meat, and it really works and makes it very, very tender. But my mother used to have this huge pressure cooker, and through the winter time, it was going from week to week to week. I mean, it was rarely off the stove, and she'd just keep adding, more meat, more vegetables. I know you shouldn't do it. I know it's not healthy, but guess what? We survived. And when you walk through the door on a cold winter's day, and you could smell all that deliciousness, and she'd get a bowl and scoop it into a bowl, and she put potatoes in there, and parsnips and carrots and onions and swede, and on a winter's day, that's just exactly the thing that you need. She didn't use the ingredients that I did, but it was still good. It's good. It was still good for us. So, Swell, I'm glad you enjoyed the stew. In the afternoon, we did tell people that I was making orange marmalade. We had one or two little disasters through the afternoon. I'm going to say the culminating disaster was when a certain person, not Chris, was supposed to be watching the thing go, and because for some reason the plate kept going off, so the thing kept going off the boil because I think it probably was the plate was on for too long. I'm talking about the stovetop plate, um, and everything just boiled over. It was like washing a volcano, really, wasn't it, Chris? Just
Oh my
all
God, never.
pouring over the top and the sides and everywhere. And cleanup was, well, I decided at this point I'm not doing cleanup. I'll leave it till tomorrow, which was fine. And so I did most of the cleanup. Chris came in the afternoon to see if I needed help. We were almost done by that time, I think. Trying to scrape off marmalade from the cooktop, and it just got in everywhere. It was so much fun. But I think I got about, what did I say, Chris? 10 or 15 pounds of marmalade we made that day. So at least 10 pounds of marmalade, if not a little more than that. However, I will never double it up again because what am I going to do with all that marmalade? So I'm furiously giving it away. I gave Chris a couple of jars, and my daughter said, "Did you bring some for me?" Did you hear that? I didn't bring any with me. I thought about it, but I didn't bring anything with me because I was a bit nervous about whether they take it away or whatever. But when I come in the summer, I'm going to ship some out. So yeah, so before I say, we did actually, I did actually bottle it, and it's at the moment in my refrigerator. I'm not there, so there's plenty of room for the marmalade, and you can freeze it. Uh, but Chris, when you came on Monday, I gave you a couple of jars, and you took a nice spoonful. What did you think?
Oh my God. I mean, honestly, you buy marmalade in the store and it's good. Depends which brand you get. It's okay. It's good. This was just melt in your mouth, and then you bit into a chunk of the orange. Oh, it was fantastic.
It's chunky, dark, delicious marmalade. It's good. It's really good. When I was tasting it myself, because I had it on toast the next morning for breakfast, I had it on toast before I came away yesterday to New York. Um, when But I think why I've not made it for so long, and then you taste it, and I'm thinking to myself, why did it take you this long to make it? Well, I guess I was traveling around, I was traveling the world, and I was knitting up a storm, and I was, making the cookbook. I was doing so many things. I don't think the recipe for the chunky marmalade is in. It might be. I'll have to check. It might be in the cookbook. I'm going to check it out. But you cannot buy marmalade like this marmalade. Would you agree, Chris?
I've never tasted anything as, I don't know, there's a purity to it. There's just this smoothness to it. It might be your secret ingredient.
Which would be what would the secret ingredient be? You can tell. Just talking about the molasses.
We call it molasses. You call it, it
Well,
starts with a T.
actually, yeah, my recipe calls for black treacle, and I was thinking about this the other day. In fact, there's a temptation to call black treacle molasses, and it basically is. I think I said to you, Chris, just get because I knew you would never find black treacle. Um, but I think I'm going to go on the hunt, or Chris, maybe you could go on the hunt to actually find black treacle because I think it is a little thicker and I think it's slightly darker. Not as I don't think it's quite as runny as the molasses. Um, so now I'm on the hunt for the black treacle. Even though this was so really, really good, I want some black treacle. That's what I'm on the hunt for now. So if anybody knows where I can get something that says black treacle, I think that many Amish stores have it because they would make it themselves. But I have to check it out. But to be truthful, the orange marmalade would not have been made were it not for the dogged persistence of my assistant, our facilitator here, Chris. Because I think we searched for about 3 years on and off to try and find Seville oranges. And yes, if anybody knows anything at all about Spain, these oranges are from Seville in Spain. It's a city in Spain. They make these. They procure, make, grow these oranges. I suppose grow is the right way. They grow these oranges. Now, unlike most other oranges that you can pull off the tree, peel them, and eat them, these oranges you cannot do that unless you like really, really, really sour lemons or sour, bitter tasting things because they are very bitter tasting oranges, but they do make the best marmalade. And I use this stuff that we're talking about, this marmalade. I use it to make my duck sauces. I use it to make different sauces for different things. It has such a rich, uh, incredible taste. I remember Chris took a spoon of it, and then she was looking at it. You were licking your lips, weren't you, for about 3 or 4 minutes afterwards? Go, and
Well, there was such a
what?
familiar taste to it, and I was trying to place it.
So good, so good. Yes. Anyway, enough of cooking, enough of marmalade. Um, today, I think I did start off by saying today is my daddy's 125th birthday. If he was still here on this earth, he would be 125 years old. I wonder if he would qualify for health benefits and things at 125. But anyway, he was 70 years old when he passed, and my daughter was just a little thing, but she remembers him. She remembers some things about him, and we were talking this morning, and she said to me, even though I remember quite a bit about Silly Grandpa, I remember him. I remember, she remembers glimpses of him here and there, but she was only little when he passed. She said the good thing is, Mum, that when you pass, Reese will have, because as she said, Reese and I have such a great relationship. We have a real solid relationship. there's no way it's going to forget me, right? And I think, as grandparents, I think when we can build, I'm fortunate enough, lucky enough to build on having that fantastic and amazing relationship with my grandson. So anyway, where are we? So I think everybody's on now. I'm already sung happy birthday to my daddy. So to anybody else who has a birthday today, happy birthday to you. In fact, whoever else has a birthday this week or ever at all, I'm saying happy birthday for all of you, but particularly I'm saying happy birthday to my daddy who is standing right in front of me blowing kisses. Thank you very much. So so it's good to remember that our loved ones in the spirit world, no matter how old they are, is stroking as if he's got a big long white beard now to tell me how old he is. It's good to celebrate the birthday, so I will be celebrating today with my daddy. I woke up this morning wishing him happy birthday, celebrating with my daddy, it's always a good thing if you love someone who has passed. Just mention that it's their birthday. Just say hi, happy birthday. I'm thinking of you, which is really all they need. I did wonder this morning. I wonder if I know he's 125 years old in human terms, living on this earth plane. If he was to live that long, wouldn't I be so lucky? But I was wondering, uh, I wondered, how do we count light years? Do we count how many light years are there? And then I started thinking, would those light years begin when the soul is created and full born as a soul, or do those light years begin maybe when we have experiences such as being on this earth? When does the light year birthday begin? Or maybe it just doesn't. Maybe it just goes on into infinity and it's beyond counting. It's a question I have to ask Graham at some point. Anyway, Chris, any questions? Is there anybody there?
We have a lot of comments in the chat room. I'm going to start with Barb. Barb says, Rosemary, I got your cookbook yesterday. It's truly amazing. I love
Oh,
all the family pictures. Everything looks so good. And I really don't know where to start, but thank you for making such a fantastic cookbook for all.
oh, thank you. I'm glad you got it. What do you mean you don't know where to start? You work at the beginning. Years and years, and oh gosh, I was 18 or 19 and getting married, and how ridiculous that was at getting married at that age. But anyway, and I decided for whatever reason, and I hadn't done a great deal of cooking at that point because, you know, we were not really allowed to cook at home. You couldn't actually walk in there with food and say I'm making Sunday dinner. So we were not really allowed to do things like that. So I'm trying to think if I actually cooked anything at all. I do remember myself and my sisters when we were probably roughly around the age of 8 to 11 or something. We tried to make bonfire toffee. Bonfire toffee is a dark, brittle toffee that you actually use black treacle for, because we could get black treacle in those days. You may still be able to get it in England, I don't know. But anyway, and we made such a mess, but the toffee tasted good. Um, but we made such a mess everywhere, and then we made an even bigger mess because we decided we were going to clean the kitchen, and we were using that powdered scrub, which we probably inhaled all sorts of poisonous stuff. And we used too much, and we used too much water, and then we couldn't get rid of it, and then it just. And I can remember it took us ages and ages to try to get all of these soap suds and things off of the kitchen counter. I think that might have been the extent of my cooking at home because, as I've said, we were not allowed to cook. So I can remember when I was, as I was saying, about 18 or 19 when I was getting married, I thought the thing to do would be to buy a cookbook. So I went into the local bookstore and I got the biggest, thickest cookbook I could possibly get, and it was called Mrs. Beaton's. And in the front of the cookbook was how to design kitchens and giving you tips on how to design kitchens. And then it goes on to what utensils you need. And then it goes on to this great, great book, this fabulous book, which I still have all of these years later. And it's still pretty much readable, a little stain here and there, but it's pretty much readable. And I can remember also in the book is sort of old memories. So for bee stings, it tells you one thing. For coughs and colds, it tells you something else. And let me tell you, some of those remedies still work today and are probably better than some of the medicines we pay a fortune for. So anyway, so that's a great cookbook. And so what I decided to do, in my infinite wisdom, was start at the beginning and work my way through. Now, if the book is this thick, truly, and very fine paper, there's probably hundreds of recipes in there. But it had sort of the meat section, the fish section, and so on. So I would start at the beginning. So I'm thinking, how does my book begin? And it probably begins with appetizers. So then goes on to I don't know what lunches, and then it goes on to the fish and chicken and so on. So I would, if I were you, Bob, I might start by making one of each of the different things to see how you like it. And I just made myself some potted beef the other day. You used to be able to go and buy it in the butchers in England. You can't buy it here. Nobody even knows what it is. It's kind of like a delicious, creamy beef pate, but so good. So, and if you've got an Instant Pot, Bob, I would suggest cooking your beef in there, because that's what I do when I make potted beef, and I've just finished the last of it just the other day, and it's in there. So try. And I always leave little notes at the bottom of my recipes, encouraging people to, if you feel that you can improve on it, go ahead, knock yourself out. I'm going to suggest, though, if you want to add something or change something, that's fine. Just do it a little at a time. I always tell people, you can uh, gauge how much you're putting into something, but once it's in, you can't take it out. So gently does it. So I'd love to hear your comments when you start cooking, Bob, and and if I can help you with anything, feel free to email and let me know. What did you mean by that, Rosemary? What did you, when you said that? What does that mean? This, or does that go ahead, knock yourself out? We'll be happy to answer. Chris.
Well, we have a ton of comments about food. Gary has an interesting take on it as usual.
Go
Uh,
ahead. I'm bracing myself now.
all right, I'll have to put 4 comments together. He first started off with, now you need a corned beef and cabbage show instead of your beef stew show.
Absolutely not. No, not for me. But it is typically an Irish thing. Go ahead.
And then he asked, do you know how to cook alligator? Gina responded in the chat room, Gary, in Africa, we prepare crocodile tail like calamari. And Gary finished with, here we use a crock pot.
Yes, very funny. To answer that question, I'm sure I could figure out how to cook either alligator or crocodile. Um, but I have no inclination. I've eaten it 2 or 3 times. It's never got any better each time I've eaten it. So thanks, but no thanks for me.
All right. Leslie has a question about a rescue dog named Willow. Will Willow get a home?
Um, you're asking me to see into the future here. I'm actually checking with Grey Eagle. Here is the issue with Willow that I'm told, temperament wise, it could be a little bit difficult. So, and there are other issues as well. So, if, I mean, where is Willow? Oh, don't do that to me. Do not tell me she's in Florida because I do not want another
Well,
dog.
I think she's from Arizona, so that would be the guess.
Good, that's all right. No hot footing over there to get the poor little thing then. But I think you have to be very careful who you who takes this puppy, because whoever it is going to need a lot of patience and a lot of loving and a lot of caring. Um, mm, I don't know if that helps or not, Chris.
Andrea's baking sourdough bread this morning.
Ooh, very nice.
Judith would like to buy a jar of your what were
Marmalade.
we just, thank you, marmalade, or
You
have the recipe.
I'll give you the recipe. I don't know where you are. I don't think we'd be. I would happily give you some, Judith. You don't have to buy it, um, but I'm not sure if we can. Florida's got all sorts of restrictions on uh, that sort of thing, shipping stuff out. So I'm not sure if we'd be able to even ship it out to you. Maybe Chris can check it out and see. I don't know.
Dean went online to check for you, saying black treacle and molasses are both dark, thick syrups produced during sugar refining, but black treacle is generally sweeter and thinner, whereas molasses is thicker and has a more bitter flavor.
Okay, I'm not quite sure I agree with that, but does it, Dean? Thank you for looking this up for me. Um, just say where I can get it. That's the thing.
Well, Judith says Amazon is one place you can buy Lyle's black treacle.
Oh, Lyle's is good. Lyle's is great. Now, Black Lyle's makes. If we talk, this has become a food show. We're going to cut out the food in any minute now, but I do want to tell you all this. Lyle's make what they call golden syrup, which is delicious. And it's very different than any other syrups that you can buy. And they also make black treacle, right? And Lyle's was the standard go-to in the British Isles. Everybody would have a can of Lyle's somewhere or another. However, I actually, I came to America and I missed my golden syrup. I thought there's got to be a way to produce this. I mean, really, there's got to be a way to produce it. And so I actually went through and looked at this and that and the other, and I came up with this unbelievable recipe. It is so easy, so easy, and it tastes just like Lyle's. It's no different, and you can make more of it for less. But when I say it's really easy, it takes a while, and you do have to watch it. So a lot of people would rather just buy the can, but I made it, and when I go home from New York, I have to make some more. I'm wondering if I can make that treacle as well. I have to figure that out. Anyway, so you can either make it or you can buy it, but it's a great syrup. It's a nice thick syrup, and I think Brits use it all the time for all sorts of things. Steamed pudding with. All right, we're not doing food anymore. I'm very hungry. Okay, Chris, going with the comments now.
There are a number of people wishing your father a happy birthday.
Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Penny has a question. My dad-in-law passed Sunday at 12:45 a.m. It was peaceful. He opened his eyes and tried to say something. He moved his mouth, but nothing came out. Can you offer insight as to what did he see? Did he hear his family around him? And there she's saying, "We love you, Papa and Nana."
I can tell you that from Greg, because as you're talking to me, as Chris is reading your email, Greg is also talking to me. I can tell you from what Gregor tells me that he was surrounded. He was very blessed in life with you all, and he is very blessed in this afterlife. Many people came to him. So I think it's safe to say I think he's okay. I think he made it over and I think he's okay. Okay, Chris.
Annika had her birthday on Sunday.
Happy birthday, Annika.
Mark says for his parents' birthday, he places a photo of them and lights a candle to celebrate them. He says, I was fortunate to have about 15 voice recordings of my mom. She
Oh,
shared her
nice.
entire life with me, even though her dementia was getting bad. Her past memory was spot on, so he's grateful.
You know, I always have done exercises with my students, and one of the exercises that, you know, and I do hope, and I know a lot of students did it, you know, if it's your grandmother, or if it's your grandfather, even if you're mother and father, because just FYI, by the way, you know, I had someone talking about my obituary the other day. That person will be nameless. But all I want, if I get a tombstone, because I want to be cremated, I'm happy to just, you know, dust to dust and all of that. Anyway, what I want, and I've said this since I was in my 20s, because I used to really, what I used to love to do in my teenage and early 20s, there were some wonderful old churches and some wonderful old graveyards with unbelievably beautiful gravestones. And I would, you know, often spend time walking around on, you know, sort of sunny days, even if it was mildly sunny, I would spend time walking through the graveyards. I know it sounds a morbid thing to do, but actually, I didn't find it morbid at all because I would read the verses on the tombstones, and you know, some people would put wonderful verses on there, and some people would put, you know, just sort of um, just just really nice things. And so I would wander the graveyards of my city in Leicester in England, and I would just sort of love to sort of just very calming, very peaceful, very beautiful, and I would just read all of the inscriptions on the gravestones and sort of thinking about it myself, you know, over the years. What I want on my great gravestone, and no doubt about it, and my daughter's going to be the one to do it for me if in fact we do have a gravestone of some kind. Maybe it's just going to be a nice fountain in the garden or something. Who knows? But anyway, I would like my inscription to be she tried, then she died, because all of the stuff that goes in between being born and then, you know, moving on, all of that stuff in between, I've experienced it, I've enjoyed for the most part. Even the tough times, I look back and I see the reasons why we go through our tough times. It makes us stronger. What, you know, that old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so, you know, but just because I'm getting old and a little grey, fortunately not too grey, um, just because I'm getting old and grey does not mean I'm ready to, as people in Yorkshire would say, pop my clogs. I'm not ready to go quite yet. And as we know, um, you know, the old ones just keep going sometimes. They're like the old creaking gates where younger people can just go like that. Uh, so, you know, whatever life it is that you have, whatever lifespan you have, we need to value it. We need to enjoy it. We need to, I mean, it's hard, you know, I get out of bed in the morning and I straighten my back sometimes and complain. So, but I really work hard at not doing that. I really work hard at just doing the stretching and the dealing with the aches and pains and so on. And I think that I know next week we're having a show with my friend Val. We're going to be doing Everything is Attitude and talking about Everything is Attitude. And our lovely Gary, who's on today, is going to be part of that show, talking about how his attitude has changed since meeting his angel, and he'll tell you that story also himself. But I think attitude is literally everything. And I remember going to see my doctor years ago. I probably would be around 40 years old at the time. And I remember him saying to me, you know, we have got, he said, I've got patients here who are 40 and they act like they're 80. And then I've got patients who are 80 who act like they're 35. He said, everything is about attitude. And it is so, so true. I've forgotten what we're talking about and why we're talking about it anyway. If I'm not careful, I'm going to be going back to my marmalade. I'm going to get into big trouble that I didn't bring marmalade with me. I did consider it, but I didn't. Right, let's go. Moving on, Chris.
All right, Rhonda's asking, I'm dealing with some issues with my elderly mom. Any advice from Gray Eagle that may help me? Thank you.
The elderly. I think that might include me now. I don't know. I don't feel elderly. And that's the problem with older people. You notice I said older rather than old. That's the problem with older people, because I think for myself, I've always been an independent person, and I think we're talking about another independent person here. And we don't need people to treat us like we're old and decrepit. We don't need people to make decisions for us unless we really are not able to make decisions for ourselves. And even if we're struggling to make those decisions for ourselves, we need to be consulted. We need to be treated as if we have a mind and as if we have a brain. Even those of us who are losing our minds a little bit, or sort of losing our faculties a little bit, or if we're going a little bit deaf, or we got a little bit of memory loss, old timers we call it. I think that, and remember that older people um, can get really grumpy and very hard to deal with. Well, you know, when you get old and you get the aches and the pains and you're not able to run around as you used to, and you're not able to make the things that you used to make, and you're not able to go for the walks or climb the stairs, or when you're feeling all the aches and pains of age, you can understand why there are people who find it really, really hard, really, really tough to, to deal with that side of things. I think that the best advice, and sort of Greg and I, we've talked about this in the past. The best advice I can give, I hope my daughter's listening, so she's paying attention closer. When I'm saying this, the best advice that I can give is to not to treat an older person like an older person. It's good to hold their arm if you see them struggling. It's good to do that, but you know I see it all the time with people with the elderly. I'm not putting myself in that category, by the way. I see it all the time with people who are elderly, and people sort of tend to shout at them because maybe they are a bit deaf, or they tend to sort of condescend to them a little bit, or they tend to take charge, which is, because let's face it, you need an immense amount of patience to deal with older people, immense amount of patience. But my advice is, as much as you might struggle with it, try and have that patience, because the truth of the matter is, the older we get, the less time you've got left with us. Uh, so treat treat people. I was always nervous about when I was young. I was always nervous that Samantha would sort of, when I got older, decide how I wanted to have my hair done, or I was always nervous about the fact that if I wasn't able to go pick out my own clothes, she'd pick them out for me, that sort of thing. So I think we just have to remember, just because somebody's old and failing doesn't mean that they are, you know, they don't have that fire within them. that maybe they're struggling to get out, and maybe then it comes out the wrong way. So I think just if you can treat an older person uh, as if they're not an older person, treat them with respect and caring and loving, and don't take over, because it's so tempting when you're having to deal with it to take over. I mean, the time it takes me to get up a set of stairs these days is, I mean, I went out, whereas I could run up them at one point, now I'm sort of, yeah, everybody else, you go ahead because it's going to take me a little while to get up to the top of that stair. Um, but that doesn't mean that you have to hover, and it doesn't mean you have to be impatient. It doesn't mean that I need somebody to lift me up. Just, just it's hard, and you have my sympathies. I'm sure you struggle. In fact, Vega tells me that you do struggle. But just try and remember. Um, there's this great poem. When I am old, I will wear purple. It's a great poem. Nobody knows who wrote it. I will get my walking cane along the railings and make lots of noise. I will, spit on the ground if I feel like it. I'll go and cut my neighbour's roses, the heads off of my neighbour's roses or something. Anyway, it's great, whatever it says anyway. And I've known that poem since I was in my 20s, and thinking to myself, you know what, when I get old, I think I'll do that. I think I'll wear. And then all of a sudden, one day, I had an epiphany. Why do I wait? Why do I need to wait until I'm old to do all those things that we get away with when we're older? Why do I need to wait? So I've been just living my life that way and wearing purple, so to speak, every day of my life since then. So uh, I'm going to send healing your way, my dear. I'm going to send healing to this lovely older lady. I'm sure doesn't mean to be crotchety. She doesn't mean to, I'm sure if she could, she'd leap up and run around the garden as if she were a spring chicken. Unfortunately, she's not. So lots of love and lots of patience, but I know you've got it in you to do it. Chris.
This one is from Karen from Australia. I was asked to take a foster child aged 11 years. I'm sorry, aged 1 year, who is terminally ill and expected to die within 6 months. I was very close to her, and as I was holding her, I experienced her spirit leaving her body. Um, I seem to be drawn to those who are about to die, even if they don't know they're about to go. Why me?
Um, I like this story. Chris actually read me that we've only put in part of the email that she sent because it was a very long question, but I understand that this year-old terminally ill a child uh, was with us for 8 good years. I think that's which people need to know, and of course you grow very close to her and so on. But what is this why me thing? Why not me? People say that, well, why me? Why me? And I would say, well, why not you? But I suspect in this case, you are a beautiful healer. You are one of those souls who, the soul of this child would be drawn to you. Those in the spirit world taking care of this child, taking care of the soul of this child, will want to have a perfectly uh, a perfect harmony between you. And I think this is your role in life. And why me? Well, first of all, why not me? But boy, celebrate this because you are doing something that so few people get to do. You are having the experience of connecting in a spiritual way with someone that perhaps they don't even realize, but you are giving them something. You're giving them something of yourself, and that's because you are a chosen angel. In order to do what you're doing, you have to have been chosen for this job. So even though it's got to be heartache, losing someone like this has got to be heartache for you. You know, the rewards, the rewards that we get when we help people through that process of death and dying, the rewards are incredible. They are beautiful, and I know that your rewards. Well, I don't. I was going to say, that if people say you're rewarded in heaven, I don't think you're going to have to wait for the rewards of heaven because I think you've had 8 years of rewards with this child. So I think it's fantastic. So why you? Well, because you know you've got this beautiful gift. Why not you, Chris?
This is from Angela. My mother, Mary, and brother Sterling passed away. I want to know if they are okay and if they watch over me.
Resounding yes and yes. I'm not quite sure I've got two yeses. Why I've got two yeses, but perhaps one for each of them. But Gregor is saying yes and yes. They are well. They are safe, and yes, of course. Who who can you think of better to watch over you than these two? Yes, they watch over you. Chris.
This is from Malin. I tried to speak telepathically with my mom's cat to get her to stop meowing at night. She stopped straight away. I was really
Oh,
surprised. I think animals are
woohoo!
very intuitive and telepathic.
Oh, me too. Good for you, darling. Yes, I mean, our animals, our beloved pets they absolutely know. They know who they can trust, they know who they can't trust, they are extremely intuitive, and we should always listen to what they have to tell us. I mean, if we pay attention to our animals, as much as they pay attention to us. We have this fabulous relationship going on. I'm glad. I hope she didn't set back up again, but I'm glad she's good for you. Nice, Chris.
Carol says, Hi, Rosemary and Gray Eagle. I've been very ill, so I'm happy to be able to pop by to listen today.
Oh, good, good. Well, Carol, we're definitely going to be sending you lots of love and lots of healing prayers. And we hope you're feeling better. We hope you're getting better. If you want to email, tell us, you know, if you need anything particular from us, just please let us know. But know that we're thinking about you and sending healing every day. Chris.
Shelley's asking, I'm looking to know who my guide is and where to take my spiritual gifts next.
Uh, well, I would suggest, you know, this show only lasts an hour, just to let you know. we, and, as much as I would like to go into this with you, I'm going to suggest that my suggestion would be that you find a good medium. Um, I mean, I don't know anyone that I could recommend you to. I can only, I would suggest that you look around, see who you trust, see who you know that you could find to set you on this uh, continued path that you're on, because I feel that you're already on this path. And sort of maybe have a consultation with that person. I think this requires more than a 2 minute quick answer. So that's what I'm going to suggest you do, Chris.
Linda says, Good morning. I just wanted to thank you and Gray Eagle. The last time we spoke on here, you told me I was going to fly. I was in between a
Oh,
bunch of decisions. Well, I am flying. I'm flying so high I can touch the sky. Thank you for giving me confidence and hope, and I wish you all the most blessed days.
oh, Linda, thank you so much. I remember saying this to you. Fly like a phoenix, be reborn, just live your life to the full, my darling. I'm so, so pleased that it's happening for you. Keep going, Chris.
Judith says, One day it dawned on me how old I am. I was shocked. When did I get this old? It sneaked up on me. Ha! I truly do not feel or think my age.
And why would you? I mean, you know what they say anyway these days. What is it? The new 60 is 50, the new 50 is 40, etc., etc. I mean, I think maybe I'm wrong because I guess I'm some grey hairs here. And yeah, yes, and I don't dye my hair. Sort of, we're getting a few more on this side now as well. Um, um, I must be like the, what do they call him? Call them the whirling dervishes. Uh, I can't remember. Are they Armenian dancers? They have long hair and they move so fast and so quickly. Apparently, their hair never goes grey. Anyway, so I'm obviously moving a bit slower. Can you say just a little bit slower these days? But um, you know, uh, if we look at the wrinkles and count them as experience. And if we look at the wrinkles and we count them as wisdom, if we can look at the smiles that cause the wrinkles, we can be so grateful that we were able to smile so much and for so long over the years that we've now got laughter lines, which are really have gone into deeper lines, but still laughter lines. And there is so much for us to be grateful for as we get older. Uh, Despite the backache and despite that my knee went out yesterday on the plane, and it's been so good for so long, and now I'm hobbling about today. But will it stop me? No. And anyway, I've got something to get to, try and motivate yourselves instead of worrying about how old you are. Motivate yourself to do the next great thing. And I have something that motivates me, which is on Saturday. I'm going to be sitting in an audience at Carnegie Hall in New York City, where my grandson will be playing the piano for the third year running. Yay! And it's always a joy. Never going to go out for to eat afterwards. Steve, we're back to food again. We just can't get rid of the food thing today. But I think that age is can be a challenge, but I'm always up for a challenge. And I think that it's not how old you are physically that counts. It's how old your mind is. It's how old you feel. It's like and there are days when all of us, even 20-year-olds, will feel ancient. But I refuse. I'm never going to be old. When I am old, I will wear purple, but why wait till I'm old? So that's been my philosophy since I was in my 20s, and I'm moving forward with it and still keeping going with it. Chris.
Both Shelley and Penny are saying thank you and congratulations to your grandson.
Oh, thank you.
Lewis says,
Yeah, thank you.
good morning, Rosemary. I am making difficult family decisions. Usually my mother would take care of these things. Is my mother okay with the decisions I'm making?
um, I'm asking Gregor this one, and uh, right. So here's a little bit of advice for you right here and now. Um, Oh, okay, right. Okay, all right. So I know exactly. Oh, now I'm good. Now I know exactly what to tell you. Okay, so in life, there are those of us who we all like to compromise, don't we? We all like to, to please the people around us. Um, but as you're going through these decisions, and I know many of you listening have either had to do this for yourselves, or you're coming to the point where you're going to have to make family decisions which are not always going to be popular with the family. So my advice is this, and this is Gregor's advice. He's asked me to tell you this. So here's the deal. So when you're trying to make these decisions and family decisions, and there's always going to be somebody who's not happy. And even if you gave them the moon, they'd still wouldn't be happy because then they'd say after 5 minutes, well, where are the stars? There are always people who are not going to be happy. So in life, you have the person on this side and you have a person on that side, let's say. You try to make this person happy, that person isn't happy. You try to make this person happy, that person isn't happy. So there are times in our lives, and I think you've reached this point as we're talking here. There are times in our lives that the only way we can make sure that someone is happy, and remember you're representing your mother, so I can hear a lady interjecting in here. You are representing your mother and all of that stuff there. So the only way you can make sure that you make someone happy is to make yourself happy. Do what you think is right, which is what your mother trusts you to do. Don't worry if this person is displeased or if that person is displeased. You can't please everyone. Make sure that at the end of the day, when you've made your decisions, you're pleased with those decisions, and then duck, because there'll be people who want to throw stuff at you. That's always the case. But if you're pleased and you're satisfied with the decisions in your heart and you know that this is what your mother wants for you, and I'm hearing a lovely lady saying to you, listen to me, listen to my voice, you can do this. But don't try to please everybody because it will not happen. So please yourself, you're pleasing yourself, you're pleasing your mother. Just get on and do it. Bite the bullet, baby. All right, Chris.
Serena from Italy is sending you hugs. And then
Oh, thank
there are
you.
no more questions, but we might want to just recap the dates coming up of certain things.
Yeah, and not we need to time anyway. We've only got a couple of minutes of time
Yeah.
anyway, so all right. So next Monday,
The
let me
24th.
next Monday, which is the 24th of March. Is that right? No, that's not right.
Yeah, because this coming Monday is St. Patrick's Day, the 17th, and it's the following Monday is the 24th.
Well, next week is the 17th.
Yes.
So next week we have our Thursday show. The following week after that, which will be the 24th, we'll be doing our fabulous thing with Al Pisano, my friend and colleague, and we'll be doing Everything is Attitude. That is Monday the 24th. What time?
11 a.m.
So 11 a.m. So if you're working and you can't remember, you can get all of this stuff. All of it goes straight to YouTube once we're done. So that's with Al, and also our guest is my lovely friend Gary, who's on today, and he'll be telling us how seeing his angel has really, I won't say too much, but has really increased the betterment, let's say, of his attitude, which I always thought was good before, but apparently he tells me it's very different. Then on the following Thursday, we will have our show. That will be on the 27th, I believe. I will be back in Florida, hopefully by then, if I can get a flight. I have to book it today. And then on Friday, we will be doing our cracking up with my wonderful friend Kay from England. And that will be at what time? 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time?
I think you two have to decide whether it's 5 or 6.
Okay, so we'll let you know. But check in then with the you can check in with the newsletter. By the way, Chris, some people didn't get the newsletter. I've had 1 or 2 people tell me they didn't get the newsletter, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Or check in with the website, because it'll be all up on the excuse me, it will be all up on the website. Is there anything else we need to let people know, Chris?
That you are collecting names for the bottom brick exercise.
Yes, we'd like to do a bottom brick exercise. We'd like to get sorted out, ready for. We've got some things planned ready for April. Of course, April is a very important month for me. It's my daughter's birthday on the 7th of April. It's also the day when the decorators come in and make a real mess of my house before they then make it look really beautiful. I'm keeping my fingers crossed with that, as you can see. There's all sorts going on, but we'd like to do some bottom bricks. We do have some candidates, but if you would like to do the bottom brick exercise, if you want to know more about the bottom brick exercise, you need to go to the website, www.rosemaryaltea.com, and you can see some examples of that, or you can go to YouTube and see some examples of that. It's a fabulous exercise, especially for those people who are trying to figure themselves out and are struggling in order to do it. So, if you think you're a good candidate, write into us. The email is rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, I think. Right,
Yes.
Chris? Okay. And I think that's it for today. I think we're done. So I'd like to say thank you to Chris. Great facilitating today. Excuse me. I can't believe you didn't eat the marmalade all up. And I'd like to also say thank you to all of you for watching. We love it. We love when you join us. And remember, if you know someone who might benefit from these shows, or you know somebody who'd love to make marmalade, just send them to YouTube, because that's where we are. And if you want recipes for anything, just again email, and we can let you have the recipes for the marmalade. What else is there? I think that's it. So, and I'll be back with you next Thursday.
Yes.
Will I still be here? I will.
Yeah.
I'll be back with you next Thursday. Gosh. Uh, right here in New York, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's New York time or Eastern Standard Time in the USA. So you have to, wherever you are in the world, you have to work it out. I can't do it, so I'll leave it to you. Until I see you all again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Grey Eagle for always all his insights and his wisdom. Until I see you again, everyone, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Have a very blessed weekend. I'm certainly going to have a wonderful weekend. And please, just say thank you every day and live your life the way you want to live it every single day with a smile, no matter how difficult that smile might be. Put a smile on your face and just enjoy